Welcome back, and joining me now is Democratic Congressman Khanna of California. Congressman Khanna, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's wonderful to have you back, and I do want to start with the CDC, Congressman. President Trump's decision to fire the CDC director, Susan Menarez, just weeks after she was sworn in and after she clashed with HHS Secretary Kennedy over the issue of vaccines. 4 other top CDC scientists quit in protest. Now, I had the opportunity to interview one of them and press this person on why resign? Why not stay and fight if you have a disagreement with the broader policy at HHS? Take a look at what he said.
If I thought that there was a fight that I could fight in there, I would have stayed. And the reality is that there is now an irresistible force that is going to make it impossible for CDC to maintain the validity of its science against ideology.
Congressman, do you worry about experts leaving in protest instead of staying?
Kristen, this is not about politics. I'm just saddened by what is happening. You have a situation where the Secretary of Health and Human Services has said anything related to mRNA is not going to be supported by our government. I mean, that is absurd. It's anti-science. It's anti-technology. There are vaccines being used to cure cancer that use mRNA. mRNA is used for things that are being done to create a universal vaccine for flu. And they have just been anti-technology and anti-vaccine. And this is contrary to what the Secretary said he was going to do, which was follow basic science. So I have called for him to step down. I have also called for Republicans and Democrats to speak up for basic science and technology.
Well, and another issue we're tracking closely are the developments at the Fed, the administration trying to oust Fed Governor Lisa Cook, accusing Cook of mortgage fraud. She denies that, and she's now suing the administration, alleging this is purely politics. But, Congressman, let me ask you, do you think Lisa Cook should just release her mortgage documents to dispute these allegations against her?
She could be transparent, but this has nothing to do with the specifics of Lisa Cook. This has to do with Donald Trump following Richard Nixon's playbook to interfere with the Fed and bully the Fed. The irony is that it's his own policies that have created the situation. If he just repealed the blanket tariffs, he wouldn't be putting the inflationary pressure that exists, and the Fed would be able to cut rates. But instead of listening to every economic advisor who has said don't just have these blanket tariffs, he's insisting on blanket tariffs that's putting inflationary pressure and leaving the Fed in a no-win situation.
Well, given that argument, do you think Lisa Cook should just release her mortgage documents to put these allegations to rest? Would you advise her to do that?
Well, sure, she should release them. She should be transparent so that we see that this is just a political football and really it's hiding an economic record. Look, Kristen, the reality here is the economic record of this administration. When President Trump took office, consumer confidence was strong. It has tanked for 7 straight months. Farm closures have doubled. Manufacturing was expanding when he took office. It has gone down every single month. Unemployment for young people, almost 11% for recent college graduates. This is a record of economic failure, and the reason it is failing is because of blanket tariffs, because of mass deportation, including immigrants who are paying taxes, and because of interference with the Fed and expertise. It's time for a new economic direction.
Well, Congressman, staying on this issue of transparency, let's talk about the dispute related to the files of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Congress left town early without voting on your bipartisan bill, which would basically call for the release of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein. Do you think when Congress is back, the bill will go to the floor and it will pass?
I'm very confident it will. I spoke to Congressman Massey. You had us both on a few weeks ago. We will have the petition live on September 2nd. We have all 212 Democrats committed to signing it. He has 12 Republicans. Only 6 of them have to sign it. What will be explosive is the September 3rd press conference that both of us are having with 10 Epstein victims, many who have never spoken out before. They're going to be on the steps of the Capitol. They will be telling their story, and they will be saying clearly to the American public that they want the release of the Epstein files for full closure on this matter.
All right, well, we will track that very closely. A couple more topics to get through here, Congressman. President Trump announced this week the government will purchase a 10% stake in Intel. That's, of course, one of the world's largest chip makers. It's headquartered right in your district. You actually co-chaired Bernie Sanders' 2020 campaign. Now, as you know, Senator Sanders has pushed legislation that would require companies taking taxpayer subsidies to give some of that profit back to the people. Here is what Senator Sanders said back in 2022, and then what President Trump said just this week. Look.
If private companies are going to benefit from generous taxpayer subsidies, the financial gains made by these companies must be shared with the American people, not just wealthy shareholders.
I'd like you to give 10% of Intel to the United States of America. Not to me, to the United States of America.
So, Congressman, do you support President Trump's push for the government to have a stake in Intel?
I have no problem with the American taxpayers being reluctant shareholders in Intel. We did this when I was in the Obama administration with the auto bailout. FDR did that when he industrialized the nation. So I agree with Bernie Sanders. Here's my problem with the Intel deal, and I helped co-write the CHIPS Act, which gave the funding. Right now we're talking about $8 billion. If you talk to anyone in my district, they will tell you that the real need is $40 billion of investment. So how are we getting other investment into Intel? Second, they need Apple, they need AMD, and they need NVIDIA to actually buy the chips. What is the plan to do that? And third, we should make sure that if we are going to be a shareholder, we have labor neutrality and help workers. So those would be the 3 actual concrete items I'd like to see from the administration.
All right, well, let's talk about the Democratic Party now. California Governor Gavin Newsom is warning this week that President Trump might not leave office when his term is up in 2028. Look.
You think he's joking about 2028? You think when he brings foreign leaders to the Oval Office and he goes to the White House store, have you seen this? Anyone? Is it just me? And he shows them the 2028 hats? He's not being serious? Wake up. You will lose your country.
Congressman, is that overstated, or do you agree with Governor Newsom that you predict President Trump will try to stay in office?
I fully expect we will have 2028 elections. This country has overcome the Civil War. We defeated tyranny. We defeated communism. We overcame Jim Crow. It is a resilient country. I am confident that we will have elections. I'm confident the Democrats will win. I'm confident we will have elections. I'm confident the Democrats will win. I'm confident we will have a better economic vision after this failed economic administration. And so Democrats need to express a confidence of what we're going to do in 2026 and 2028 to take back our country.
Congressman, very quickly, Governor Newsom also saying it's time to fight fire with fire when it comes to redistricting. Obviously, Texas adding 5 Republican seats in that state. Governor Newsom aiming to add 5 Democratic seats in California. This is what Emanuel Cleaver said, though, your Democratic colleague in the House. He said, if we continue to fight fire with fire and keep starting fires and creating new fires, the only thing we're going to have left are ashes and a little piece of a nation. Are Democrats in danger of weakening the democracy with this tit-for-tat over redistricting, Congressman?
Representative Cleaver is a moral voice in the country, and I agree with him, but they're trying to eliminate his seat. What the Republicans are doing, they're going after Jim Clyburn's seat. They're going after seats that the Voting Rights Act created, and it took decades after redistricting to do. And so all California is saying is stop, because if you're going to go to a pre-1965 America, if you're going to target Jim Clyburn, if you're going to target Representative Cleaver, we're not going to sit by. And my hope, and the governor's hope, was that they would stop. But California was not the first mover here. We're simply responding to make sure that the Voting Rights Act is not gutted.
All right. Congressman Khanna, thank you so much for joining us. We always appreciate having you.
Thank you, Kristen.